is the best portrait lens on a budget? Let's find out in this short video. Hello everybody, my name is Attila Mate from Blue Sky Photography, and today I'd like to talk to you about the best portrait lens on a budget. Now, I have to say this at the beginning, that these are not the best possible portrait lenses that you can find on the market. Obviously, you will find better lenses than these ones for horrible prices, expensive prices. What I'm talking about here is the best possible lenses that you can buy, the best bang for your money, for your buck. So it means cheaper possibilities for the ones who doesn't have the money to spend for a very expensive lens. Or if you don't want to spend, because the image quality of the lenses that I will talk about here, it will be 90% the same like the image quality of the very expensive lenses that you can buy at the moment for thousands of euros. So I can guarantee you that the difference between the two lenses is so negligible that you don't really see the difference. So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, if you want autofocus lens, I would suggest to buy, and this is my favorite lens. I mean, it's the best lens I can recommend is the Sigma 50-100 f1.8 lens. Now, I know that some people will say that, yeah, well, it's a big lens and too heavy, and look, it's not a very cheap lens, but I can tell you that this lens is excellent. And this lens contains 3 focal lengths that you will need for your portraits. And I tell you which one. Because this lens 50-100, this lens is specially made for APS-C size cameras. Now, this lens on the APS-C will behave like a 75-150 on a full frame, angle of view we are talking. Now, because of this angle of view, it will contain the 85mm, the 135mm, and the 150mm focal length, which for your portraits is excellent. These 3 focal lengths are the best for portraits. And I can guarantee you, I shot a lot of portraits, and when I check, my pictures, majority of the portraits was shot on 135mm. And that's a fact. Because the compression of the lens, and the background blur and these kind of things, this is only my opinion. I mean, for my eye, it's very, very pleasing, and I think that is the best focal length. So anyway, this lens contains these 3 focal lengths: 85mm, 135mm, 150mm. Now, I know some people will say yes, but because it's 50-100, the depth of field won't be the same, and this and that. That is a complete separate discussion, so I don't want to discuss the depth of field. If you want to understand depth of field, I have a separate video from this, and I can place a link up here so you can see that video. Now, if you are watching my videos on the mobile device and sometimes you see that I place a link up here and you don't see anything, that is because of the annotations. They don't work on the mobile devices, so unfortunately you will not be able to see the link, and you will have to search in my channel to find the video. If you watch at the TV, then again the same possibility that might be that you will not see the link, but you can search in my channel and you will find the video what I'm talking about the depth of field, and you can understand what I say, that depth of field is actually you can manipulate depth of field on 2 different things. One is the aperture and second is the distance from the subject. And this is very, very important, guys, because if I use an APS-C size camera, I can use a faster glass like on a full frame, and then I will have the same depth of field like on a full frame. And the same story is over here with the 50-100 f1.8, because if you shoot with a 70-200 f2.8 and I shoot with the 50-100 f1.8, I will have the same depth of field because I am at 1.8 and the other one is at 2.8. So, but like I said, this is a different topic, so let's not get in too deep into this. So 50 to 100, this is what I would suggest, like autofocus lens. That's the best bang for your money, I'd say. This is 890 euro at the eGlobal Central shop. Like I said, I have a series of videos about the best budget lenses, you know, best budget wide angle, best budget portrait, best budget zoom lenses and things like this. And you will see that I refer to this shop, the eGlobal Central. This shop is based in Hong Kong, and but it has a warehouse in London. So they send you the stuff from London, and you don't pay any duty, any VAT, anything like that. And it is very reliable. And their prices are very good. But you can check on eBay, and you will find some similar prices as well. So Sigma 50 to 100 is 890 euro at this shop. Now, if you want to buy longer zoom range, you say you are not happy with the 50 to 100, then you can buy the 70 to 200 f2.8 from Tamlyn, which is the USD version, the ultrasonic drive version, the newer one. Not the older one, the one which has the macro capabilities, because that's not so good. The newer one, the 70 to 200 f2.8, which one has the macro capabilities, that lens is actually very, very good. So you can buy that lens, but that will be a 2.8 lens. And you have to realize that a 2.8 lens, if you use a crop sensor camera like the Nikon D7200 or Canon 70D or Canon 80D or Sony a6000 or Sony 77 Mark II and these kind of cameras, the crop sensor cameras, this lens, the 70 to 200, will act like a 100 to 300 f4 lens. So the f2.8 depth of field, it will be f4 on a full frame, something like that, the depth of field. And because it's a 2.8 lens, I wouldn't really suggest for portrait, you know, because f4 it's a little bit, I don't know. I would suggest much more the Sigma 50 to 100 f1.8, because that is a 1.8 zoom lens. Anyway, that lens, the Tamlyn 70 to 200 f2.8, is 955 euro. So it's roughly 1,000 euro with postage. So it's not really expensive. It's pretty good. I mean, it's very, image quality wise, it's very good. But like depth of field wise, you know, it's pretty good. It's okay, but it's not as good as the Sigma. Now, image quality wise, I would say the Sigma is better than the Tamlyn. But again, this is up to you guys, if you want longer focal range or not. Now, we have to go now to the primes. I would suggest here 3 primes, which are cheap enough, not expensive, and they are very good image quality. And like I said in my other video, guys, you can check the results for these lenses on the DxOMark website. Type in DxOMark.com. You go in and you check all the lens results, you know, the test results. And you will see that the lenses I recommend over here, they are on the top of the page. So they have very, very good test results. I'm not joking. So the first prime which I would suggest, and it is the cheapest in between all of them, is the Samyang 85mm f1.4. Now this lens, guys, is excellent. It's excellent. I plan to buy this lens, and I will buy soon enough, and I will post some sample images. But if you buy this lens, you won't be disappointed. This is very, very good, this lens. It's a 1.4 lens, 85mm 1.4, and the price is, now this is the one, 275 euro. Guys, it's unbelievable. If you want to buy an 85mm 1.4 lens, any brand, you will pay $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, I don't know. You pay a huge amount of money. Now this is a manual lens. This is not an autofocus lens, so you will have to learn to focus manually. But if you are happy to focus manually, this is the lens to buy. I mean, it's a 1.4 lens, 275 euro. That's unbelievably good. Now, again, if you are mirrorless camera user, you can use this lens with a speed booster. And then this lens will act on a Sony a6000, the example, like it acts on the full frame, because the speed booster will widen your angle of view and will shrink your depth of field. So the depth of field will be like on a full frame, and the angle of view will be like on a full frame. So actually the lens will act like an 85mm f1.4 on a full frame. That's how it will act, with a speed booster. Now, if you want to buy this from speed boosters, if you want to buy the expensive one, Metabons have some speed boosters, and they are 400-500 euro. Now, I wouldn't go on that because I would say that's too expensive. I would buy the Zhiyongi, and I will place a picture up here with the Zhiyongi speed booster, so you just know what to type in and search for it. So that is about 100 euro, 110 euro, and it's the same quality almost like the Metabons. I mean, very, very small difference in there, and it's very, very good speed booster. Now, the second lens I would suggest for portraits is the Samyang 135 f2. Now, I own this lens. Guys, this lens is just ridiculously good. I can't say anything bad about this lens. You have to learn focusing manually, that's true. But other than that, this is one of the best portrait lenses I've ever used. Okay, it's a manual lens, that's true, but it's sharp, it's no chromatic aberration. I can't say anything bad about this lens. If you check all the reviews on YouTube, guys, you will see that there's nothing to say, nothing bad to say about this lens. So this lens is 480 euro, the Samyang 135 f2. It's not cheap, I know, but in the same time, it's a 135mm f2 lens. And if you want to buy other brands like Canon, Nikon, and these kind of brands, you will pay obviously about 1,200 euros. So you will pay more than double anyway. So this is a cheaper version. Like I said, manual focus lens, but it's excellent. Top of the range, I tell you. The third lens, which is a prime lens, and this lens is available only for Sony E mount and the Micro Four Thirds mount, and this is the Samyang 50mm f1.2. Now, if you buy this lens, the f1.2, and you put on a Sony a6000, you will have a 50mm f1.4 lens on your Sony a6000. And again, this lens is 350 euro, but in the same time you have an f1.2 lens on your camera. Now don't forget, this lens is made specially for Sony A mount and the Micro Four Thirds, so you won't really be able to use a speed booster with this lens, because you can use speed booster only if the lens is made for a bigger sensor. So if you are using an APS-C camera, you can use full frame lenses with speed booster. If you use a Micro Four Thirds camera, you can use a lens made for APS-C with speed booster. But you cannot use a Micro Four Thirds lens with a Micro Four Thirds camera with speed booster. That's not going to work. I don't want to get into these details, why and how it works, because it will be too long. But guys, believe me, this is not going to work. So this lens, the f1.2 lens 50mm, you can use on the Sony a6000 and on the Micro Four Thirds cameras without speed booster as it is, but it is an f1.2 lens. So even without speed booster, it will act like an f1.4 on a full frame-ish, kind of. So these are the lenses I would recommend for portraits on a budget, if you don't want to spend a lot of money. If you have a lot of money, obviously there are several options to buy a better lens. You know, like the example, the Sigma has the 85mm f1.4, which is autofocus lens, you know, and it's just the art lens. They released recently, not too long ago, and I guarantee you that is top of the line. I mean, it's great lens, but it will be 1,000 euro, 1,200. I'm not sure exactly what's the price now, but it will be more than 1,000 euro anyway. So this video was about getting a prime lens or a zoom lens for portraits on a budget, which means as cheap as possible. If you want to go even cheaper than this, then unfortunately you have to go on second-hand lenses or old prime lenses or these kind of things. And again, I don't want to get into that because it will be too long. So I hope this video was helpful to somebody. I hope that I gave you some tips. And like I told you, don't be afraid, go on the DxOMark website and search for these lenses. You will see that I'm not talking only BS around, you know. I mean, These lenses are all in there at the top of the page. You know, I mean, they are the best lenses, one of the best lenses. You know, the results are very, very good for them. So search around and you will see that I'm right. Other than that, I wish you a nice day and see you in the next video. Take care.
I'm gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I am cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day.